This is
RedPubPod.
RedPubPod.
RedPubPod, a podcast from Redhawk Publications. RedPubPod.
RedPubPod.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, and welcome to the plush-welded studios of Redhawk Publications, located on the beautiful campus of Catawba Valley Community College, located in Hickory, North Carolina. My name is Robert Knipe, and I am here with my bestie in crime in our publications, Miss. Gosh, I can't remember your name all of a sudden.
I'm your bestie. Cat wrangler extraordinaire.
Patty Thompson.
Yeah. Hey, guys.
I have to be real careful because, they're looking for people are witness protection. The big boss man and the director of the program, Richard Eller, is here with us today, too.
Hi.
And with us as our guest, the designer and graphic artist of our new publication, Nimble and Tenacious.
The history of Catawba Valley Community College.
She is also you are also the director of
Alumni Affairs.
I am the Alumni Affairs Officer.
And what else do you do for the college,
Just
Melanie?
about anything that they need for me to step up and do.
Aren't we all like that? So we're here today to talk about this great new book, which basically is a history of the college. The college has been around since 1960. We are into our, 1960 from 2022. How many years is that?
Well, this year marks the 60th anniversary of our first graduates.
60th anniversary of the first graduates. That's marvelous.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Why did you want to do this project, Melanie? Why would anybody want to do something this huge? I mean, scanning all those pictures, keeping up with all that information. Why would you want to do that?
Well, CVCC's got a very special place in my heart. And many years ago when I went to school here, I'm an alumnus of CVCC. I graduated in 1988. This college saved my life and my girls' lives and got us in a position where eventually I would be able to come to work here at this college. And this is just sort of like a little love letter to the college through Richard's words.
How tough was it to get through all those pictures?
Well, I'm a photographer. I started out as a journalistic photographer, and I love coffee table books, so it was not tough at all. It was a nice little surprise almost every day when I'd open up a box, and when I found the negatives from our first graduating commencement ceremony, that was a big thrill for me to be able to see those negatives still intact.
Just out of curiosity, having looked at the book's proofs, how many pictures are we talking?
Between 7,000 and 10,000 maybe that we have on access.
Wow.
That's insanity.
And
they're
that's
all
not
over
all
the
of them.
campus, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we have them in slides. We have the original negatives. We have the Kodacolor negatives from the 60s. We have all sorts of prints and things that were left over from previous photographers.
One of the extraordinary things that you did that I didn't think could be done is you evenly dispersed all the images over the 60 plus years that we've been around. How tough was that?
Not very, because I'm a Tetris kind of person and I'm logistical. So I just categorized it. I just took what you wrote and then I went in and found the photographs that matched that era that you were talking about.
Let's go back a minute and talk about the trials and tribulations of finding all of that material. If I'm not mistaken, it seemed to be like in multiple places around campus. Can you tell us about how fun it was to find some of that material?
Well, people would bring me boxes of photographs, and I would go through them. Like Bo brought me all of his photographs. There were some that had the actual, all the nurses, Naomi East, who was a nursing instructor here. I put out the word to her, and she sent me all the graduating nurses classes from 1963 to the present. So that was pretty cool finding all that. And then I just put out the word to the public that we needed the photographs, and people started sending me stuff, letting me know where to find things like that. Plus, we have all of the yearbooks. So I was able to reach out to some people through the yearbooks that, would you happen to have these photographs or have an original or know somebody who might have these photographs, that kind of thing.
I will point out, I know this is a podcast, and so talking about pictures might seem a little strange, but when we put this episode up, at some point there will be some links so that you can see key pivotal pictures that we might be discussing. And I share this because I have a question for you, Mel. We spoke recently about one particular picture you had a hard time tracing down, but you were like a forensic scientist. You found it. Tom Dana, is that correct?
Thomas Dana, he's the father of CVCC.
Tell us a little bit about Thomas Dana and then how you miraculously got that photo.
Well, I worked in newspapers for a very long time, and so I love to do research. And so Richard had found a photograph of Thomas Dana Jr., and I thought, this man deserves something better than that. So I just fixated on it. And so we were off on a Friday, and I just went in, and it's kind of morbid because I'm in genealogy, but I looked up, found a grave, and I found where he was buried, and it had in the obituary his granddaughter's name. So I contacted his granddaughter, and she put me in touch with his son, Thomas Dana III, and he had the portrait that's in the book. And so he emailed that to me, and then I asked him for a quote because Thomas Dana III was in high school when Thomas Dana Jr. was making this happen.
And Richard, if you don't mind, maybe elaborate just a little bit on Thomas Dana, because having read the book, he was incredibly influential on us having this institution. What can you say about Mr. Dana?
He came to town in 1956 when GE was establishing their transformer plant here. And the first thing he said was, we've got to have a place for education, for educating our folks, but really the whole county too. He said that's the next step this county needs to take. And he just drove a committee that ultimately said we have to have what our first title was, which is Industrial Education Center. And he was kind of like the way you were with that picture. He was relentless in that he formed committees to get the state interested because the community college system was coming together. It wasn't fully what it is now. But he was pressuring everybody that he could find to make this thing happen. And that's why we kind of agree that he's the guy. He's the godfather. He's the one that made it all happen.
And it seems like that he was like an exemplar of tenacity as well because of, his tenacious wanting to get this done and wouldn't take no for an answer. And his partnerships that he forged were just incredible.
Yeah. And it's funny how one thing builds on another because if we had not had the Hickory Museum of Art, GE would not have come here. If GE had not come here, we wouldn't have CVCC. So everything happens in a kind of a progression, sometimes maybe not a straight progression, but it eventually happens. And you get all kinds of ancillary things that you never dreamt of along the way.
And those of you listening to this podcast who aren't familiar with North Carolina or from Hickory, North Carolina, that kind of thing probably happens in your own hometown too, that one thing leads to another, which all of these different, what is the tentacles or something you used a while ago with?
Tentacles like an octopus, yeah.
Yeah, that they intertwine, and before you know it, something more good comes from things. And Mr. Dana was that person who put all of that together.
Yeah. Could you talk about your experience here? You said it saved your life. What did you come out of CVCC with that you really appreciate?
Well, the support of the instructors at the time, we didn't have computers back then that we could do online study, so it was called independent study at that time, and they made a special exemption for me. I was pregnant the last semester that I was here on campus, and I ended up in the hospital, and my instructors let me do independent study, and I took my final exams right after my third daughter was born, and then I walked 2 weeks later to graduate. So that always meant a great deal to me. And then I came back 3 years later as part of the Displaced Worker Program. And it was Mr. Mackey at the time, but Dr. Mackey was my advisor in the Graphic Arts and Advertising Design Program. He also put me on independent study because I was working two jobs and it was getting very difficult for me. And he also helped me out with independent study to be able to complete projects and things like that. So it was that support that was really great for me. And it just knowing that everybody did everything they possibly could to make sure that I was successful and was able to start the path that would eventually lead me here 25 years later.
And again, you're looking at the opportunity of the community college and its nimbleness. Your instructors were able to do those things that they needed to help you do to where you could succeed. And that's unusual in a lot of education. Mm-hmm. So hence our title of our book, Nimble and Tenacious.
or the instructors were nimble and the students were tenacious.
Exactly.
Well,
Exactly.
A good example of that is Michael McCree.
Oh, yeah,
Because-
one of the first graduates.
Because technically, he was our first college and career promise student, and that didn't even exist. He went in and told his teachers that he wanted to go to college here, and when he set it up with his high school, they arranged for him to leave a half a day to go to work at a grocery store, and then he came to school here at night. And he completed 2 years here, and then went to Appalachian and got his bachelor's, and then went to University of Florida for his master's, and became a vocational arts teacher. But what's really cool about Mr. McCree is he was the first graduating class of Mr. Papp, and I was the last graduating class of Mr. Papp. So a lot of things you see in the book are like 6 degrees of separation for me. So
That book ends nicely to be able to have it that way. And also within the book, you've got a rather important moment that you have at the beginning of the book showing you bringing in your kids and then going further in time to sort of recreate that in some sort of way?
Well, we tried to do some then and nows with students and some of the faculty. And so when I came here in 1985 to register, Lauren was a week old, and Katie was just turned a year old. They're now 37 and 38. And Coy Hudson opened the door for us. Well, Robert Reed is the one who took the photograph of us from the Hickory Daily Record, and I ended up working with Robert at the newspaper. He was my photographer at the Hickory Daily Record, so that's one of the 6 degrees of separation. But I carry that photo in my wallet everywhere I go, and I've only shown it to Dr. Henshaw. I've never shown it to anybody else, so the world gets to see it now. So please don't laugh at the hair. My mother thought she was doing me a favor. But,
Well, it was the 80s.
yeah.
It was the 80s.
So, but I tried to do that with everybody who I contacted and submitted their then and now photos, and so that was really cool for me.
I have a feeling that this is going to be like an Easter egg hunt, this book, that folks are going to want to look into all the decades, well represented and displayed very well. Folks are going to have a good time looking at this book.
Oh, the pages of collages are going to be fun to go through that Melanie and one of our students, Jamie Brugman, put together out of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of photographs. Do you want to comment on how difficult or how fun that was to build those collages?
Well, probably for me and Jamie, it's a lot of fun for us. It was like building a big giant puzzle, and just finding the photographs that would fit into that. And
you broke it down into decades, and then each decade is broken down into
four or five sections. The 60s, we had graduation, athletics, student life, and then classroom. So we tried to keep that going throughout the decades, but during the 90s, we didn't have that many photographs of those things going on. So we sort of had to work with a different lineup. And then the rest of the photographs from the 2000s on up, most of those I took because I started here in 2010. So they're all digital. So I sort of knew where most of those were located. So, and Wendy Baumgartner, who was my predecessor as a senior graphic designer, she kept a well-organized DVD collection of photographs. And so I got a lot of stuff from her as well.
And working with Alumni Affairs, even before this project started, you had a lot of stories from people who kind of shared your enthusiasm for CVCC because it changed, thousands of lives.
Well, we do. I asked for alumni spotlights, and so a lot of people have submitted their spotlights to us. So if you go to the CVCC alumni page on cvcc.edu/alumni, you'll see the spotlight page, and there's people who've earned their doctorates who have come back to us and talked to us, and they just let us know where they are and what their accomplishments are and that kind of thing. So it's really fun to be able to reach out to them. If I see them in the newspaper, I'll contact them and ask them, hey, let me share your good news on our spotlight page. And they share it with me, and I share it on our Facebook page. And I celebrate them because, without them, there wouldn't be us.
And all of you well-off, famous alumni from CVCC, we would love for you to donate to our foundation, which would help other students be as successful as you are, because the community college is one of the few places in the United States where the nimbleness and tenaciousness can help people succeed, whereas they might not be able to find that help otherwise.
Pay it forward.
Pay it forward, exactly.
Yeah.
During COVID, I had to, I guess, why not? Let's disclose it. I had a scare with COVID, and I went to a local healthcare provider the gentleman that provided me with my swab, he was a graduate of the Physician's Assistance Program, which surprised me because, as we know, here in 2021, physician's assistant programs require graduate study. And I learned from him that, no, back in the day, CVCC had a physician's assistant 2-year program. He and his brother both got those degrees, were grandfathered, and so to this day they're PAs with a 2-year degree. So it meant a lot to them to know that we were writing this book because they were very proud of the institution. And that was the first time I had heard that Catawba Valley Community College was referred to as Harvard on the Highway. That made me laugh.
There's a lot of names, some we can't use here. But, when you told me that story, I had to go back and look and say, because I didn't have that in the text, and had to go back and look and see, is that true? Is this guy right? And it was only for a couple of years in the, mid-'70s, somewhere around in there, early to mid-'70s. Yeah. And we had it going. What's amazing, I find, about this college, and it does speak to that nimble thing, is we've tried everything. When they were getting in new cash registers that, you had to do some manipulation from the old way, we taught courses on it. We set up a counter in one of the buildings to do that.
Yeah, we did that on the East Campus. We did occupational therapy, or those classes, and you learned how to run one of the regular cash registers. That's how I learned how to use a cash register when I worked in the grocery store. Ray Hall was my business office machine teacher, and I could still hold a pencil while I'm using the number pad on the computer. So, it's crazy the things that you've learned in the past that you carry through life with you. So, it just has an impact, and sometimes you don't even realize that's what did it. And then I saw pictures of Mr. DeMayo and Larry Holler and all of my former instructors and Lichtenstein, and they just had a big part in my life, and it was just very, very special to find them. And I found my yearbook. So,
yeah, and out of the 58, Lynn Lichtenstein was
she was state.
You won the state. Yeah, the only time that we've had that happen. So, there's some really nice moments that that show up in the book.
Well, one of the things that I thought was really cool about doing this is watching the progression of when Thomas Dana started this and where we are now with Dr. Henshaw. And Dr. Henshaw is following the plan that Thomas Dana had. He built this because General Electric needed training, and he knew that people in the community needed industry training, and that's why he built it. And now we have the brand new Workforce Solutions Center, Manufacturing Solutions Center, and all these academies and everything because Dr. Henshaw could see that vision, and he carried that vision forward. So that's also very important for us to remember that, it's not going to stop with Dr. Henshaw, but Dr. Henshaw is very instrumental in making it continue on.
And the fact that this institution, I've worked at 5, this is my fifth academic institution, and the fact that there's only been 3 presidents, that's impressive.
Yeah, very few community colleges can say that.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, it's almost as though right now we've come full circle because we started out as a vocational industrial training center, and through the 70s and 80s grew in curriculum transfer courses, but now our newest building is back to the original mission.
And you think about it, we're a community college. We're not a university. We're not a 4-year. We are a community college, and we need to listen to what our community needs. And that's what they've done, is they've listened. And reading the copy that you put into the book, and then seeing all the photos and the progression of it, it's amazing how far we've come from 1958 when they were just thinking about it to what we've got now on campus.
And you are listening to RedPubPod from Redhawk Publications here at Catawba Valley Community College in Hickory, North Carolina.
But Robert, here's the important thing. When this book comes out, where will I buy it?
Oh, you will definitely buy it at RedhawkPublications.com. That's RedhawkPublications.com.
And a lot of pictures. So you can, the scavenger hunt, I think, is a really neat idea to go and find where, if you're not in it, somebody from your time was.
Correct.
Complete with all the changes of, things that dictate what that time was, like the gravel parking lot, the Miss CVCC beauty pageant that they had. I mean, there's some things that's gone by the wayside, and maybe they should, but it's really a chronicle of what life was like in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, on through here.
It is, and what's really nice is that Joe Young and his photography technology students did then and nows of the construction and some of the areas here on the campus, and those are in the book. So you get an idea of what we looked like back in the 60s compared to what the building is now. And one of the really cool shots we have is, not many people would know about it, but the stock sale we had here in Catawba County was on Thursdays, was located across from us, is where our Lowe's and Walmart is now. There's an aerial photograph, and one of the students did a composite of the current campus and the stock sale. So when you look at it, it puts it all into perspective.
So is that what a then and now picture is? Can you kind of explain a little further like what that might be?
Well, the then and now, the stock sale could have been done back in the 1970s or 80s. It was an aerial photograph taken of the campus, and it included the stock sale. So that could have been back in the 70s or the 80s.
So there are other photographs in the book that show a particular building or a particular place on campus where it may be back in the 60s or 70s, joined to one that's more modern or just taken recently?
Right. For instance, the one with the Papp building, Robert E. Papp building, there's a photograph that I call it my hiccup moment. Every time I see it, it just makes me go, and it's the one where we've got a current photo of the Papp building, but we have the black and white photograph of Mr. Papp coming out of the construction. And so they've blended the two together, so it's like it's a ghost moment,
Right.
Here comes Mr. Papp, and seeing the Dunbar building in construction, and they've got it split open so you can see the ironworks that were going on, and students that were on campus for activities back in the 60s are running across campus that's currently the campus now. So the bell tower, and I mean, there's just so many things, and I couldn't get everybody or everything into the book, so I'm hoping that I'll build a companion piece online that we can access so that everybody will have access to the photographs and the artwork that these students did, because it's just amazing.
Wow, that's amazing. You're going to get so much extra for your money, folks, when you purchase this book. And part of the proceeds go toward the Alumni Association to help the Alumni Association contact and get in touch with. And what else are you going to do with?
Well, I'm hoping Dr. Henshaw has tasked us with creating an unrestricted fund. And that's what I would like to do is I want to create some alumni, even if it's different groups of alumni, like the nurses can create their own groups.
Right.
So that we can come together and start doing fundraising and raise funds so our future alumni will be able to come to school here and not have to worry about if they have gas money or if they can't pay for their books. So I want to make that possible. But I also want to create a Thomas Dana Jr. scholarship for students here, and also a legacy and an alumni return scholarship, so that if you are an alumnus of CVCC, you may not know it, but you have access to all the services that are on this campus, like the Career Center and all of that. But now I want them, if they decide they're going to change careers and they want to come back here to do it, I would like to have a scholarship available that they can go for and apply for, so that they can come back to school and not worry about it. So, and a legacy as well.
I tell you, the ability to change careers is important in today's work environment. I know that I'm a second career person, working here at CVCC as an English instructor. I was originally in business and retail, and this place worked perfectly for me to inexpensively complete my first 2 years of my education, go on to a 4-year university, finish 2 years, and then do 2 years to finish my master's, to where I could come to work here. And I wanted to work here right out of the bat. I mean, this is a great place to work, mainly because your ability to help people. The institution pushes you to help people, and I like that about this place. Now, Melanie, you also had a very tenacious idea of adding a gatefold center spread to this book.
The piece de resistance.
Yeah, this is the thing that's really going to be worth your money, folks. It's amazing, this thing. Tell the listeners about this centerpiece.
Well, I call it the Dada pages, but actually Robert came up with the idea. He was showing me the gatefold for a book that he had, and I put there's a photograph of the campus when the building was first built in 1960. And it opens up, and when it does, you see this really pretty drone photo that Patty took of the entire campus. And then we also included, I worked with Richard on getting the timelines together. So there's a timeline from the moment we started to the current time so that people could see what our progression was. And it's just one of those, you open it up and you see it, and then you just open it up and you see it. And it's just, I loved everything about it. Every time I go through it, and I keep looking through it, and I don't know, the book is just very special to me. It's like my own personal love letter.
And folks, we are assembling, printing, and creating this book right here on campus. This is not one of your international, printed in Singapore type books. This is a book that is going to be printed, assembled, and created right here on campus by the Catawba Valley Community College. Let's say the marketing department is
part
involved
of it.
In that.
Everything's homegrown in this. You go to Joe Young and his students with the then and nows. You go to the text. You go to the layout. You go to the printing. Everything in this book is done by folks on this campus, which I think demonstrates kind of the can-do attitude of a community college.
The director of marketing, Jennifer Cobb, sent an email, to us the other day that said she's going to have everybody in her department, helping put things together with Jonathan Lale and the print resources and stuff like that. It is a CVCC thing.
Because that gatefold, I understand, is quite an intricate deal to be able to put together.
It is, because they have to print the first half of the book and put a separator sheet in, and then the second half of the book, and then they manually install the insert, the gatefold insert. So yeah, it's labor intensive, but that's what's going to make it worth everything.
It's a labor of love as well, and I really like that too.
Yeah,
and I think everyone in this room has been touched by it. Robert, I don't know why it didn't dawn on me.
I'm touched, period. So.
But you did your 2 years here. Not only did you do your 2 years, but your family has as well. Richard, you've worked here. Your wife has worked here. Your son works here. It turns out my husband went here. So
yeah, my daughter Christina did her first 2 years of a 4-year degree here as well.
Yeah, my daughter did too. Yeah.
Wow.
This place is a bargain, and you get a really, really good education at Catawba Valley Community College for your money. I mean, some of the stuff was more difficult than some of the stuff that I came up against in my second 2 years, and even in grad school. I got really challenged here, and I was really happy about that.
Between the GED opportunities, basic skills, continuing education courses, and, of course, the curriculum programs, this place has probably touched more lives than we could imagine.
And for you folks who live in North Carolina that are listening to this, please contact your North Carolina state representatives and ask them to raise the budget for community colleges, because they are a bargain. And we still don't make the kind of money in the budget that the 4 years make. Every dime that goes into this place, you can see it. You can find it. It's a good stewardship of taxpayer dollars. And we hope that this book reflects that. And even the title, Nimble and Tenacious, it's those things that this institution can turn on a dime and do to help people and create things that just make a good community.
I worked in workforce development before coming here, and at a statewide conference, there was a gentleman that challenged everyone in the room to talk about what was the number one grad school in North Carolina, and it was a joke. The number one grad school in North Carolina are the community colleges, because once you get that degree in English or sociology, you're going to go back to school, more than likely a community college, to get skills so that you can work. So that always made an impact on me. A lot of people's lives are touched by community colleges.
Well, the way that I got to CVCC was I had a 4-year ride at Lenoir-Rhyne. Both my mom and dad worked there. My mom worked in the alumni office with Clarence Pugh. And I did my work study in the alumni office, which was kind of funny. I'm coming full circle. But I'm not a 4-year university person. I wanted to build things and make things, and my dad wanted me to go to school. And he wanted my brother to build things and make things, and my brother wanted to go to school. My brother has a doctorate in French literature, and I teach stained glass on the East Campus on Monday nights, and I build things, so I'm happy. So that's not it. 4-year colleges is not for everybody, and there's a lot of people that just give up. If I don't have a 4-year degree, I can't succeed. You can get a certificate, a diploma, or a 2-year degree in just about anything on this campus and be successful and make really good money and hit the ground running and lead the life that you want to lead. So
it's about that post-secondary credential that Governor Cooper has been kind of hammering away at. And I hope that doesn't go away. The fact is, beyond high school, you need something. Doesn't have to be the 4-year degree, but you need something to make you have the skills so that you can work.
And what's really cool about that is our vocational programs like welding, auto system technology, mechatronics, those are being offered in high school now, so our juniors and seniors can take those classes for free and come out with a certificate when they graduate. But also we have the CCP program where you can take core curriculum classes and when you're in high school, and you can be ahead of the game. When you come here after you graduate high school, you could have 53 credits under your belt. And that's 2/3 of the way through your whole entire, associates or college transfer or whatever it is you're going for.
And so the stained glass is very instructive in that we teach about everything.
There's something for everybody on this campus. I defy anybody to tell me that there's not something on this campus that they would like to learn to do. I would love to take the welding curriculum. If I wasn't teaching on Monday nights, I would be taking welding at night.
Female welders, I'm sure they're out there, but my goodness, that'd be interesting to see.
And they make good money.
And they do, but they like to have the females in those programs. You know why? Because we pay more attention to detail. And that's why they would like for us to be in mechatronics and computer integrated machining and in those vocational programs, because we pay more attention to the detail.
That's absolutely true. I had a female plumber in my house a couple of months ago, and she finishes up, leans back, put her hands on her hips, and says, "There you go, that's it. It's done." And I said, "Well, the last plumber was here said, I guess that's it." And I went like, "You guess."
As you got your bill for $200.
Yeah, she was very certain. He was like, "It might spring a leak on you after I leave, but that'll be your problem." So I was happy with her certitude.
Well, I will say this about the story about CVCC, because going into it, you think, "Oh, it's a community college. How interesting can this be?"
It's really interesting,
but it's got more oomph to it than you would think. I mean, the way we got into the East Campus. All the programs that came and went, we didn't keep everything. That progression that you talk about from PAP to Dunbar to Henshaw is pretty cohesive, given that you had 3 guys from 3 very different backgrounds. And at the heart of it, and I don't think we ever got to a final number on this about how many students that we've served. I can't get to that number, but we were talking over 100,000. It's got to be.
Yeah, it has to be.
Yeah.
Well, when you think about what our census could possibly be, 5,000 a year or a semester, and there's 2 semesters, do that by the year. And then that's how you could get a big estimate. That could just be your estimate on how many students have come through here, not including your certificates and your diplomas and the people on the East Campus, BLET and fire protection and all of those, or the academies it's like I feel like I'm Bubba Gump sometimes when I'm leading somebody on campus and I'm saying, we've got this and this and this and this. And this is how great we are. We have something for everybody that would benefit them. And so
if you haven't been on campus lately, you need to come back because we got statues, we got new buildings, we got all sorts of things that is not the community college that you once attended. Especially if you were there in the 70s or 80s.
Yeah, you've got to come see these brass birds, these brass Redhawks on these pedestals. Melanie, where did you get your education with graphic arts? Are you self-taught, or have you received formal education, or is it just something you just comes to you naturally?
I took marketing in my business administration, and I went to work for Timbrook Hospital, which was a mental hospital here in Hickory, which is now Fry South Campus. And that was part of my job. I was just creative in general. And so I just started picking up stuff, and we didn't have YouTube back then, but I would get books and pick up training. And then I came with Dr. Mackey and Chris Rader, and I took a couple of semesters with them and Nathan Cole. I did photography with him. And then I just rolled with it from there. So I got into positions that I used the skills, and I just continued to learn as I went along. So I went in from being in marketing at a mental hospital to working in minor league baseball, where I was director of merchandise and publication. And I was at the Crawdads for 10 years. I was part of the inaugural team. And then I moved into the Hickory Daily Record and the Charlotte Observer and creative services and picked up those skills and learned all about the Adobe suites and all of the creative tools I needed there. And then I moved into interactive media, which was managing content and all the videos and photography and things like that went on the websites, and went from there and then got laid off. And I was laid off in 2008 and sent out 174 resumes, and Mary Reynolds picked me up. She was my 174th resume. And what was even cool was when I got in there, the people that I saw that were there were the people that I knew when I was here in 1988.
Well, you did a phenomenal job on this book.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, it
Kudos
is a
and
phenomenal
bravo.
job. And as soon as I shut down this podcast, I'll be going to our website at redhawkpublications.com, putting the book up for sale at a sale price. You need to go to that website after you've listened to this and check that out, because that sale price will not last very long. And I was reminded...
Call before midnight.
And if you pay an extra fee, we'll send you we'll double your order.
They do get a free bookmark.
Oh, yeah, we got a free bookmark. We will send it to you, free shipping. That's worth a lot of money nowadays, as expensive as shipping is. But my colleague Patty reminded me to remind you folks that this is part one of a two-part podcast where we're going to have the big kahuna himself in here, the dude, Dr. Garrett D. Henshaw, in the future, talking about the book and talking about his tenure here. Make sure you look for that podcast as well. Has anybody else got anything else they want to say or ask, Melanie?
Just thank you.
Thank you. Thank you
I
for
saw you
inviting me.
diligently working all the time in that room, scanning and putting things in and doing the photoshopping. I know this was a lot of work.
Yes, you are the mistress of patience. To sit and scan and scan and scan and
But
scan.
it's paid off. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a gorgeous book. It really is.
Good.
Yeah.
It really is nice, and I cannot wait for you folks out there to see it. I mean, it is well worth your time to pick this up, to learn about the college. For you folks that are listening that are outside North Carolina, check into your own community colleges in your own area and find out what they've done to help create community in your area, because community colleges are the greatest value for your money, for your education dollar. So
When you guys hear this, please be mindful. RedPubPod is distributed through the mesh, and as a result, it can be picked up on all the standard podcast platforms, including Stitcher, Spotify, Apple, and soon Google. In the description, there will be links that will help you not only buy our books, but also to highlight some of the photos that we know that Melanie's worked so hard on. So again, thank you.
Thank you.
And notice when you're on our website that we have about 75 individual titles, all kinds of stuff from memoir to poetry. It's not all about Hickory, North Carolina, or all about CVCC. There's lots and lots of stuff on there that is indicative of the way that we work with other writers and authors from all over the country. So be sure and check that out. So I'd like to thank Melanie Zimmerman for coming in tonight or today or this afternoon, whenever it is. Thank you to my colleague whose name I can't remember. Let me see.
Bestie, right? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Bestie. Patty Thompson.
Cat Wrangler.
And the director and the big boss man, Richard Eller.
We'll even have a bigger boss man next time. So
If you keep eating the way you're doing, that's the way we'll both be. I'm Robert Knipe. I thank you very much, and thank you for joining this episode of Red Pub Pod.
thanks for listening to
RedPubPod.
Red Pub Pod.
RedPubPod.
a podcast
RedPubPod.
from Redhawk Publications.
RedPubPod.
Red Pub Pop.
RedPubPod.
Red Pub.